obviously put a bid in last night, or we got found out about it last night for Urian Timber. There are now reports that the personal terms for him are agreed. And like, what's your take on that in terms, you're looking at first people rejected at 30 million. They want 50, but a lot of the Dutch outlets have said they think 35 to 40 million should be enough to bring this guy in, play centre back, right back, very good on the ball. You must be very excited about the prospect of this super young talent coming in.
The way you just did that, it was a very, very closed question there. You must be very, very excited. So I go, oh, yes, I am, Terry, like a nod. Oh, yes, like the Churchill dog. Yeah, we're basically, if we sign him, we're basically signing the Dutch Zinchenko. Inverted. Versatility. Listen, the one thing I will say, is he's a mad upgrade on Tomiyasu. Yeah, and he is an even more monumental upgrade on Rob Holding. So on that basis, I'm in. Yeah, I don't watch Dutch league, so I can't comment on how great he is. Same as 99.99% of the people in the chat, they don't watch Dutch league. These are the same people that sit and say, oh, but the French league's a farmers league. Well, what's the Dutch league then? Yeah, let's be real with it. If we're going to be real with it, Tel, the French league's a farmers league. So what's the Dutch league? Yeah, but from what I have seen, from what I've heard and what I've seen in clips, and listen, Yaya Sanogo looks amazing in a compilation. Right? But at the same time, he is a mad upgrade on Tomiyasu because that guy is just bang average. I've been saying it since he's been here. Yeah, and Rob Holding shouldn't be here at all. He should have left years ago. So on that basis, we'll take him. Yeah, but again, I've seen people out there, a lot of people that they don't watch Dutch league football, Terry. None of these people are sitting there going, I know, I'm going to sit and watch Groningen against Ajax this weekend. No, they're not. Yeah, they're just not. Yeah, shush. You're not watching PSV versus, like, I don't know, fucking
Rotterdam.
You're
just a team out there. I don't even know.
League. Yeah, and then they see him play. They see a couple of highlights from a Champions League game. Go, oh, he looks good. Listen, he looks very comfortable on the ball. Yeah, very good short passing game. He can roll into midfield. Everything that Zinchenko's doing for Arsenal, this guy looks like he can do. He's comfortable receiving the ball with his back to the midfield, comfortable receiving the ball on the right back position, comfortable in going full short game. Fantastic. That's cool. That's great. Yeah. But can you actually defend? Because all of these clips and these compilations that I've seen, not one of them has shown me how good he is defending. They're just him receiving the ball on the half turn and running into midfield and passing the ball. Not one's compilation, I've seen about 20, not one has shown me him making a tackle, winning a header, positioning, jockeying with a defender on a corner, with a striker on a corner. None of that. Yeah, listen, he may be able to defend, and that's great. And I hope it works if we sign him. But at the same time, when I see a player, and this is something that a lot of football clubs are starting to get very smart on now, yeah? Oh, but he's versatile. Do you know what that's another word for? Or another thing for, yeah? Saving the owner money. So what we'll do is we'll buy a player who can play two positions rather than buying two players and covering each position properly. That's it. So he can play right back, he can play centre back, and he can play DM. Cool. Well, is he elite at any of them? He's just turned 22 3 days ago. Cool. So he fits Project Youth, so we can keep that notion going. Youngest squad in the league, youngest squad in the Champions League. So when we ultimately fail again next year, yeah, it'd be, oh, but we got the youngest squad. Yeah, we've got the youngest squad. Yeah, it was the first year back in the Champions League. Like, at the end of the day, Tel, if you want a right back, get a right back. If you want a centre back, get a centre back.
So, yeah, I understand. I do understand where you're coming from.
And let's be honest. One more thing I want to say very quickly. Let's be honest, right? All of these people that are hyping this up, yeah, they're doing that thing again where they make out they watch every league in the world and every player since embryo stage, right? They know about his future children, his future wife, his parents, his sisters, his inside leg measurements, how big his toenails are. What tattoo? Has he got any tattoos? I mean, if he's got tattoos, he's an instant win at Arsenal. Oh, he's got nice tats and nice drip. Yeah, they do this thing where they hype up every single player we're linked to. And then when they ultimately don't sign for Arsenal and go to Man United like Lisandro Martinez did, yeah, which is a possibility that he could sign for Man United, by the way. Ten Hag was his boss when he won titles.
You really believe that, don't you?
No, I believe it because I've seen it before. If there was no evidence to suggest that previously, then I'd say, yeah, cool, we're signing him. But I know, number one, how my football club work in the transfer market. And I know, number two, that we had Lisandro Martinez in our back pockets, fee agreed, terms agreed, everything agreed. He then phones Ten Hag and says, I'm about to sign for Arsenal. Are you coming to get me or not? He then signs for United. Yeah. These two were the centre-back pairing at Ajax with Ten Hag. So where's me thinking, oh, no, that's not going to happen again then? Well, am I deluded? Am I being deluded?
So let me just say there's two trains of thought there. There is one, your thoughts on signing this player. I'm excited about the idea of it, the prospect of it. There's a second train of thought, but I am worried Man United could do what they did to us with Lisandro. I think they're different conversations. What I would say about the player is this. Based on what you have said to me on so many streams recently, not wanting the likes of the Zinchenko's and the Cancelos of this world, where Urian Timber is brilliant. And I understand you say like versatile means like that they can say
exercise for the ownership.
I understand why you say that, but with Urian Timber, the reason that he's so versatile is because he's a very good defender. So when it comes to his defensive capabilities, he's very, very strong. And he wasn't as good last year as he was the previous year, but nobody at Ajax was. They had a manager that came in that fouled. The system was awful. Lots of good people looked worse. And we've seen brilliant teams look better with certain managers and worse with others. You know, we saw a Man United team that won the Premier League at a canter in 2013, looked distinctly average with David Moyes managing the same group of people a year later. So we know it can change a group of people like that. But he's very, very talented. I think what he would do for you is putting him in a fullback role or even putting him in a centre, especially in the fullback areas. The defensive level that you would go up is massive. I actually think there's the possibility that he's better than Ben White as well, who I think's been a good signing for you. What it then means is I think one of the two, and we're all guessing here, one of Ben White or Timber, if he signs, becomes the person challenging for the centre-back positions in terms of they're the replacement of Rob Holding as an example. But their ability to play at fullback means you can cope with injuries and you can cope with the rotation that's needed. So I don't think the versatility is a bad thing with him at all. I think it's a tremendous signing. For me, when I heard about it, the first thing I thought of is this is what you've been praising how well City have done using Ake, a centre-back, in a fullback role and that versatility. This is what Urian Timber could be for Arsenal. And listen, I hope we come in and hijack it. I hope Man United go and get him because that's exactly what I've heard you praise City and Ake and Pep for weeks on here now about how you don't want these marauding fullbacks that are not really defenders. You like
defenders that can defend.
That's what Urian Timber is. That's what Urian Timber is.
Can defend and can cross a ball. So if he's ultimately playing centre back, is he getting in over Saliba? No. Yeah. So on that basis, we shouldn't be signing him because we should be signing players better than our starting 11. Is he getting in over Ben White? Probably not. So again, on that basis, we shouldn't be signing him. But again, because of the age, we're going to sign him and he's going to be a backup and he'll play in this position. He'll play in certain games. We'll drop Ben White for a certain game. He'll play at right back. Saliba, if he's fit, ain't getting dropped. Let's be real with it. So he's going to come in essentially as a right back cover or potential threat to Ben White. Yeah, which is great. That's cool. I'm cool. But if he ain't, and this is where I'm on it, Tel. If we're going to go and sign players, I want players better than the starting 11.
I understand that. Can I ask you a question?
Is he better than Ben White at right back?
Can I ask you a question? You only want players that are better than your starting 11. You agree that Rob Holding's not good enough and got to go, right?
Yeah, which is the only reason. And Tomiyasu as well. He's better than Tomiyasu. He's better than... and I don't watch Dutch League. I've probably seen this guy play maybe 7 games.
So I want to ask you a question. So if you know that Rob Holding and Tomiyasu in your mind aren't good enough, who do you sign to replace them that are also better than your starting 11? Like, so what centre-back in the world could you go and sign that's better than Saliba? Because otherwise, if you sell Rob Holding like you want, if you don't also want the club to buy backups, only better than your first team, who's better than Saliba that you could buy?
Well, Sergio Ramos is available. Oh, but he's too old.
You wouldn't bring in Sergio Ramos. And
why? You brought in Varane
to replace Maguire.
And?
So you're telling, so you would be very happy if you went and got Ramos and
That's a
Saliba
great
was
shout
on
in
the
the chat, by the way. That's a great shout. Guy at Crystal Palace. That is a shout. That
bench.
geezer is
Okay.
elite.
So
Yeah, so is
Gay, so Gay.
Tomori.
Okay,
Tomori's a shout as well.
So Gay and Tomori, you think they are better than Gabriel and Saliba?
Well, we won't know until they played. Yeah, it's a risk. It's a risk signing any player, Terry. We know this. Yeah, whether they've played in the Premier League or outside leagues. Yeah, the thing for me, yeah, is William Saliba. I rate him. I think he's a top draw defender. Yeah, but at the same time, we should be out there actively signing players that are challenging to get in that first team or better than the first team. Because then what happens is the players that are in the first team already then become your backups. So all these people that are saying I'm clueless and I'm toxic and I'm negative and you ain't got a clue what you're chatting about, that's great. That's fantastic. That's cool. Yeah. Ramos is 30. Ramos is 38, so he's the same age as Thiago Silva. Then thanks, you've answered the question. Thanks very much. Yeah. My point is, this fan base sat there last season at Christmas and said we have a thin squad. We have a thin squad, but now they only want squad fillers. Well, we've seen how squad fillers go, Tel, because when we signed, when we signed Fabio Vieira and our manager against Newcastle United at home in a 0-0 draw is looking at the bench. Don't fancy Fabio Vieira. Oh, no, I don't fancy bringing Tierney on. Don't fancy bringing Tommy on. Well, who are we bringing on then? So when you go for squad fillers, you're always going to have a thin squad. When you go for players that are as good as or better than your first 11, the first 11 then becomes your squad fillers that can still challenge the new players. And now you've built a squad, which is what Man City have done. This fan base, for me, always wants to be, oh, we can't compete. Oh, we'll buy this guy. Listen, he may or may not be good. And I'm happy if he signs because he's better than two players we already actively have at the club. Rob Holding and Tomiyasu. So cool. On that basis, we're taking. But is he any better than Ben White at right back? Is he any better than Saliba at centre back? Probably not.
But again, you praise all the time what Man City do. But Man City signed Sergio Gomez and Calvin Phillips.
And how many games they played?
Last summer. But the point I'm making is that all clubs buy squad players. The best run clubs in the world will buy players that may not necessarily be, in City's case, they're not buying.
How much did they buy Sergio Gomez for?
Sergio Gomez cost 13 million.
And Phillips was what, 50?
50 million. So the point I'm making to you is, though, I understand your logic of I would always love my club to buy. Every signing is better in whatever position they play than what we currently have. But then you get to a point when you've got very good players in those areas. Who could you realistically?
I've just given you some defenders' names.
Again, but I don't personally think. I think Timber.
Terry, we're in the Champions League. We should be attracting the world-class players, apparently.
Let me finish my point, please. I think Urian Timber is every bit, in terms of his ability, and I have watched him play a number of games, and I did a lot of research into him last year. I use Y Scout as a very good tool to be able to watch people and certain attributes of theirs. But why Scout is the eye test, because for every stat imaginable, they have. So what I'm saying is, say like you want to look at someone's tackling, or their
so you can watch the whole 90 minutes on there.
Hang on. So this is the way it works. This is the way Y Scout works. It costs about £1,000 a year. The package I've got. Well, what you do is you want to look at his ground jewels. Every single ground jewel that Timber has contested in for the past 7 seasons is available, and you can watch each and every single one of them, and then you can extend the amount of time around it. So you can watch the actual clip in itself, but you can extend it by a minute or two either side, so you can watch his positioning as well. You can watch the whole game if you want, but you can focus it on certain attributes of theirs. So that's how I study the player, as opposed to just watching compilations, because you can tailor it to what you're looking for and assess things. But the point I'm making is I think he's every bit on par with Gahey's and Tomori's in terms of the ability of that player to go to another level. But the problem,
can I just stop you one there very quickly, just to rebuttal that? Yeah, you're saying he's on the same level of ability-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
But we all agree that league's shit, and the Premier League's the be-all and end-all, and it's the best league in the world. It's the most demanding league.
Yep.
So how does that make any sense?
I'll tell you why it makes sense. I'll tell you why it makes sense. Because Haaland is the best goal scorer in the world right now. Would you agree?
100%.
But he started doing that in the Norwegian league, and he was scouted by the bigger clubs in Europe. They thought he was good enough. So just because the league for instance, the Eredivisie is not as good.
Okay.
Hang on, let me finish my point. Just because the Eredivisie isn't as good as the Premier League doesn't mean stars are not in that league. Robin van Persie played in that league. Suarez played in that league. Lissandro Martinez himself, who was brilliant last year for Man United, is from that league. Van Dijk, who was the best centre-back in the world, I believe he comes from, he must have come through the Dutch system. He's Dutch. So for me, just because he's playing in Holland doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to be as good as Tomori, Gahey, or even Gabriela Saliba. I think there's a lot of talent in there. I think Arsenal would be signing a star player. And he has all the attributes that you've been begging for. I just don't understand your logic because
well, let me explain my logic then, Terry, right? Because
I want you to explain it from the point of view of just ask. If you say we should only sign players that are better than our first team, why is the best manager and the best run club in the world, based on your opinion, City, why do they buy squad players? Why shouldn't Arsenal?
Okay, well, can I answer that? They signed Haaland as a first team player. Yeah. Erling Haaland's different. We're not comparing Erling Haaland and some inverted right back, come centre back, come DM, mate. Yeah, right. Erling Haaland's the same age, by the way. Yeah, and has just won a treble. Yeah, this guy couldn't even get in Holland's team the other night against Italy. Yeah, I watched the game. Yeah, he came off the bench. Yeah, so let's just turn it in with that one. Yeah. Secondly, yeah, Man City, when they sign a player, Jack Grealish, for example, Jack Grealish has kept Phil Foden out of the team most of the season. I know Foden's played a lot of games. But Jack Grealish has kept. So Jack Grealish was signed as the marquee player that summer. Bosh. Yeah, it took him a little while to get going. Blah, blah, blah. But now Jack Grealish is established first team Man City. Yeah, because they brought him to be better, and he is better than Phil Foden. I like Phil Foden, but Grealish is a better footballer. Yeah, different attributes, different whatever. And you can argue that until you're blue in the face. Yeah, on the right-hand side, yeah, Bernardo Silva and Riyad Mahrez. Yeah, but they signed Bernardo to play midfield or right wing. Yeah, and he can do both exceptionally in the first team. Would you say Riyad Mahrez is a backup player when they signed him for 60 mil? No, he got straight in the team and he won titles. Would you say Bernardo Silva is a backup player to Riyad Mahrez? No, he ain't. Yeah, and this is the difference, Tel. Right, and this is the difference. Yes, they'll go and buy a Calvin Phillips. English quota, mate. Yeah, they overpaid, but guess what? They'll get their money back on him.
But what about...
They will get their money back on him because they're an elite level selling football.